I've bought somewhere in the neighborhood of about 2,000 CDs or albums in my life. And if you were to go through those albums or CDs or whatever you want to call them, if you check my my phone, which I have, I don't know how many thousands of songs on there, 5,000, 6,000. I don't use Spotify. That's a totally different thing. But if you were to go through all my record collection, CD collection, digital collection, whatever you want to call it, you wouldn't find too many surprises. You're going to find Motorhead, Slayer, Metallica, Iron Maiden, Exodus, Testament, Motley Crue, you know, things like that. I think the biggest surprise you would find is the band that I'm going to talk about today, Cherry Poppin Daddies. I have no business liking Cherry Poppin Daddies, but not only do I like them, I love Cherry Poppin Daddies. Man, I really love Cherry Poppin Daddies. Very, very different. I have I've been doing these videos going through a band's discography. I started with the bands that had the big influence on my life. It was Kiss and Iron Maiden, Metallica, you know, bands like that. I've kind of expanded it to just bands that I just really, really like, which is what I'm doing here, and that's what Cherry Poppin Daddies are. I have not a long history with Cherry Poppin Daddies, well, over 20 years, but I mean not long like with Van Halen or Kiss or Metallica or Iron Maiden. So Cherry Poppin Daddies are a very, a real blip. I don't know if that's the right word or not. Sometimes I use words that I don't really know what they mean. I'm not sure if blip is the right word. Cherry Poppin Daddies are a blip in my musical radar. All right, I get into them in, I'll talk about them a little bit. I get into them in I won't say when, a little bit later. I'll talk about this as I go through. I'm going to start with their first album and go through, and I'll tell you when I get into them. But it was not at the beginning. I'm not an old school Cherry Poppin Daddies fan. I'm a poser Cherry Poppin Daddies fan, although at this point it's been a long time. And what a great band they are. Like I said, I really shouldn't like Cherry Poppin Daddies. They're not metal. I like Slayer and Exodus and you know, bands like that, and even Motley Crue. But Cherry Poppin Daddies really caught my attention. They're a great band for, I think for traveling. If you're traveling, if you're driving in a car and you have to listen to music and your travel partner doesn't like Slayer and Motorhead and Venom and doesn't want to hear that kind of music, Cherry Poppin Daddies is a good band to remedy that problem. They might be the most fun band, fun to sing along. And I'm going to tell you, I should say, I'm going to warn you, as I do this video, I might spontaneously burst into song. I'm sure I'll verbally express their lyrics. I might try to sing their lyrics. I hope not. I'm sorry if I do. But they're just so much fun. They're such a fun band to sing along with. And getting back to being surprised about this, before this, we're into August now, and we've been into this, whatever you want to call it, pandemic or this coronavirus, COVID-19 situation, whatever you want to call it. We've been into this now since March. And the very last concert that I went to see before this whole thing started was a great band from Mexico City called the Bunions. And I went to see them on March 7th. I'd seen Billy Joel the night before. Also not in my wheelhouse is Billy Joel. But I saw the Bunions, and I was talking to a friend of mine, this guy called Jorge Cerilla. I'll say hello to Jorge. And he's in the Bunions, and he's a friend of mine. And we were talking that night when I saw the Bunions. I think earlier in the week I'd been listening to a lot of, I always listen to music. I was listening to music with headphones. And so he was asking me, I think, so you know, what have you been listening to? I said, man, the other night I was lying in bed, not to sound sexy, stupid sexy Flanders, but I said I was lying in bed and I was listening to Cherry Poppin Daddies, and he was kind of surprised. He said, that doesn't sound like something you would listen to. He said they're like a swing band, right? And I told him, no, I think a lot of people think that, and I understand why they do. Why they think Cherry Poppin Daddies is a swing band. As I talk about my history with them, you'll understand why why, I mean, I thought that at first too. And then they're actually, maybe I would say, the most diverse band that I listen to, not just the strangest in terms of the unexpected or the surprise, but they obviously they have swing songs and even swing albums and swing elements, but they also have, they're very funky. They have some kind of punkish songs. They have some just flat out rock songs, maybe ska and kind of reggae, something like that. But they're a fantastic band. So I'm going to talk about Cherry Poppin Daddies. I'm going to start by saying two things. One, something that's unique about Cherry Poppin Daddies for me. All I wear in my life is t-shirts. I'm almost 51 years old, and I guess I'm lucky or unfortunate, lucky or unlucky, depending on how you see it, to be in a position where all I wear in my life is t-shirts. I live in a country, I live in Mexico, where the weather is 25 to 30, maybe 32, 33, 34 degrees Celsius all year. So I can wear t-shirts all the time. But amazingly, I don't, and I've never had a Cherry Poppin Daddies shirt. Incredible. Of all these episodes that I've done, if you call them episodes, I've done Anthrax, Slayer, Metallica, Iron Maiden, Kiss, Motorhead. I have many shirts of all those bands. I don't have a Cherry Poppin Daddies shirt. I've never had a Cherry Poppin Daddies shirt. I would love a Cherry Poppin Daddies shirt, but I can't find one. And also, I've never seen them live. Of all these episodes I've done, the only other one, this is so stupid, the only other one I've done that I haven't either seen the band live or had a shirt is Saigon Kick. And they're also, like I said, one of the favorite, maybe my favorite band, 90s bands, along with Goldfinger and another band that I'm going to do an episode of this at some point later coming up, which should be pretty easy to figure out now. So I've never had a Cherry Poppin Daddies shirt, and I've never seen them live. I probably never will see them live. I live in Mexico City. It must be very expensive for a band like Cherry Poppin Daddies to tour, and this has taken a long time. This is my preamble before I even get to the music. There are, I don't know how many guys in the band on a regular basis, 8 or 9 guys. They have horns and you know, all kind. In addition to what a normal rock band would have, guitar, bass, and drums, and a singer, they have horns, you know, trumpets and trombones and clarinets and things like that. So an expensive band. I don't ever expect that they'll come to Mexico, but I really, really would love that almost more than anything. So that's one thing about Cherry Poppin Daddies. The other thing I was going to say, and I'm sure I'll talk about this as I continue, as I talk about their albums and their songs. Steve Perry, not to be confused with Steve Perry from Journey. I'm only going to say this once. So from now on, if I say Steve Perry, I'm talking about the guy from Cherry Poppin Daddies, not the guy from the classic rock band called Journey. Steve Perry might be my favorite songwriter, or at least in terms of lyrics. Man, that guy writes, he really, really paints a picture. And I guess I'll talk about this as I continue. He really, really paints a vivid picture in a lot of his songs. They're very just beautiful images. Some of them are very funny and cheesy and corny, and some of them are just absolutely beautiful. Maybe my favorite lyricist ever, Steve Perry. So I'm going to talk about that. So if you're new to this, I would normally show a CD, those round plastic discs that come in something called a jewel case. Now their first album came out in 1990, I think it was 1994. It was called Ferociously Stoned. It was not my first Cherry Poppin Daddies album. I'm going to talk about my history with that as I go along. I always assumed that Steve Perry, took the title Ferociously Stoned from Motorhead, from Born to Lose, Iron Horse, Born to Lose. I think because Lemmy says that in the song. I keep showing this again and again. I'm a big Motorhead fan. I have a big Motorhead tattoo here. So any Motorhead reference will never escape me, I don't think. So Ferociously Stoned, I assume he took it from Iron Horse, but I don't know. So Ferociously Stoned, I don't have it with me now. I did buy it, but I don't have it with me, so I can't show you. But you have to imagine what it looks like. And since I don't have it, I'm gonna start with my notes here, just to remind myself of the track listing of this album. This one, I have to say, I never really got into Ferociously Stoned. Maybe because it wasn't my first Cherry Poppin Daddies album. maybe if it had been my first, I maybe wouldn't have liked them as much as I ended up liking them. This one I never got into. Steve Perry at that point, I think, was calling himself MC Large Drink, which I used as an online name, which is so stupid to say. That I called myself MC Large Drink in 2000, around there. And also Flash McGallion was another one I used, and the Virile Garbage Man, which I'll talk about in a minute. So Ferociously Stoned was never, and probably is my least favorite Cherry Poppin Daddies album. Looking at the track listing now, it was a very funky album, and that's not really my style. Funk music, as I said, I don't really have a problem with it. It's just not my style. And also, again, that was later. Dirty Mother Fuzz was maybe the most I guess obvious example of how fuzzy they were, or how funky they were. It was something like, she's built like a candy store and I ate her too much, or I eat too much, something like that. I like that song, Dirty Mother Fuzz. Also, Flovilla Thatch and the Virile Garbage Man, just looking at the track listing here. Also very funky, reminds me a lot of Squeeze Me Macaroni by Mr. Bungle, if anybody likes Mr. Bungle. I don't know who I'm talking to, because I don't know how many people are watching this. And the cross-section of people who know Mr. Bungle and Cherry Poppin Daddies, you're not going to care. But Flovilla Thatch versus the Virile Garbage Man. A little bit reminiscent of Squeeze Me Macaroni by Mr. Bungle. And Diabolic Tastemaker was another one that was very, very, very funky song. Other than that, I'm not overly familiar with it. Drunk Daddy was the opening song. Drunk Daddy ended up being on a compilation album, which I'm going to talk about. Very important. I'm going to talk about that later. What else we got? Master and Slave. Master and Slave. There's my breaking into song. And Dr. Bones. Those were good songs. But yeah, this one I never really got into. So Ferociously Stoned, I don't have too much to say about that, either good or bad. But it was the first Cherry Poppin Daddies album, and there you go. Now the next one I can talk about, and I should say, I hope I get these in order. I might, I think I pretty much know them in order, but I might get a few screwed up, but I think I got them right. Next one was Rapid City Muscle Car. Now this came out in it was Ferociously Stoned. I said 94, maybe it was 93, something like this. I think this was 94, or maybe Ferociously Stoned was 92. I'm not sure. Maybe I'll have to look this up after. But Rapid City Muscle Car. This is not my favorite Cherry Poppin Daddies album, but it is pretty close. I love this album. I went back and got into this one. I still wasn't into them at this point. This came out in 94. I hadn't heard of them even at that point until years later. But once I did get into them later, I went back and I bought this. This is one of the very, very first ones I bought on eBay. Or I think it was eBay, or CDU. I think it was eBay. And I ended up loving this album. This was a go-back album for me. But this is excellent. Rapid City Muscle Car. This was for me, this was how it became. That for me, this is the kind of band that I like. This is the kind of album I like from a band like Cherry Poppin Daddies. This one and I would say the next two, even they have several that are like this, that are, every song is a little bit different, I think, than the one before it. Or if you look at them all, they have some swing songs, some ska songs. And this had a great mix of that. The first song, The Search, me and Joe were driving in his rusty van, making last a call is gonna be tight. Sorry for that, but I did warn you before. Very Elvis attitude. It's got swagger. That song is great. The Search is I love that song. Sockable Face Club is the second one. I'm not going to talk about every single song, but Sockable Face Club, crazy. Just a chaotic song with, again, very funny lyrics, as I mentioned. How does it start? A step to the urinal, went fishing for flies. I was trying to get a stain off when I noticed a guy, he was punishing the bishop and zeroed in on my pride. I'm not going to say the whole song, but that's a great, very chaotic, it sounds like a soundtrack for a cartoon show or something. It sounds like just a wild, crazy cartoon show song. I love Sockable Face Club. You got a punchable face, bub. Chrysalis, Ding Dong Daddy of the D-Car line. He could not restrain himself when he saw a nice caboose. Excellent song. Oh, I really love this album. Mr. White Keys. I'm going to talk also about my favorite songs from each album. The Search might be one. Mr. White Keys is one of my top. Those are both some of my really top Cherry Poppin Daddies songs are on this album. Mr. White Keys, very, very fun. That's a very swing song, a big band, lots of horns in that song. He's a friend to all the stars, made a fortune selling cars, not beyond the little sleaze. He's Mr. White Keys. I love that song. As I said, very fun to sing these songs. I might not sing them well, but I don't care because I have a really fun time when I sing these songs. Very different than when you're singing metal, when I'm listening to Slayer in the car. I feel sorry for the guy, laughing when I see his shtick. All that poor bastard wanted was to make it with a beautiful chick. But that don't excuse the prick. God, I'm so sorry for that. Oh, I love that song. Skyline Drive could be a very, very short, on my very short list of being my favorite Cherry Poppin Daddies song ever. That's one that I mentioned earlier, the Steve Perry's lyrics. This one really more than anything paints a picture. She shimmers like the surface of a swimming pool, staring out of blue horizon eyes. She shimmers like the surface of a swimming pool, staring out of blue horizon eyes. Can't remember it. Funny how that happens. She winces at the passing of a careless thought of butchered bodies in the morgue, and then she shakes her hair across her eyes like a closed blonde door. Her crime wasn't low self-esteem this time. The city below her. The back door for a couple of stiffs from up on Skyline Drive. Sentry system picking up a beardless man. He's muttering under his breath. Up in the helicopter's cameras roll as he's shot to death. It just paints an amazing picture. It sounds very pretentious to say that, but Steve Perry, this guy is the best at writing these kind of lyrics. Pink Elephant is another good one, kind of a swingy song. So stupid that I'm singing these songs. Lovers Understand, very, very strange song. That's all just kind of like a weird acoustic, kind of flamenco guitar sounding with accordion. He loses himself in the box scores. What else can I say about this one? Bobby Kennedy, that's total Nirvana song. Going back to what I said earlier about Cherry Poppin Daddies being so versatile or diverse. This song, Bobby Kennedy, could be a Nirvana outtake. It's very kind of a little bit of an aggressive, for Cherry Poppin Daddies, an aggressive song. Come Back to Me is another one that's Go Flash. That's Flash Megallion on drums. That sounds like that. I don't know how that song could be anything but a big Broadway show tune. You know, it's not their song. Cherry Poppin Daddies didn't write this song. I have no idea who wrote it, but it's very, very extravagant, very Broadway, very show tune. Take a train, take a car. No, I'm embarrassing myself here. Hop a train, take a. What am I doing to myself? Sorry about this, but and it's so easy when I listen to these songs, I can sing along very well. But as you're talking, it's a little bit more difficult. With your hair in a net or a towel wringing wet, I don't care. This is where you should be. Oh, in a crate, in a trunk. I really, really do apologize. Excellent album. I really, really love this album. Johanna of the Spirits, Hazel, South Dakota. This is I love this album, and this is not even my favorite. Look at how excited I'm getting, and this is not even my favorite album. And it's a good one. I'm just realizing it matches my color coordination here. So Rapid City Muscle Car, Fantastic album. Every song, I think I love every song on this album. And again, it's got the kind of the cartoon chicken with its head cut off, maybe in the spirit of Sockable Face Club. But there we go. Whew, I'm getting all crazy here. I got to settle down. Rapid City Muscle Car. After Rapid City, whoops, I almost dropped something here. After Rapid City Muscle Car came 1996. This was Kids on the Street. For me, this is every bit as good as Rapid City Muscle Car. I don't know if I'll get excited. I need to calm down. 1996. This was another go back album. I still wasn't into them in 1996. I'd never heard of them. Didn't know they existed. But I think I got it also maybe from eBay, same as Cherry Pop as Rapid City Muscle Car. I got it from probably from the same guy. This is also an excellent album. This has maybe my single favorite. I'll get back to that in a second. Just like Rapid City Muscle Car and the next couple, a mix of everything. They had ska, swing, rock on here. It's hard to pick one single one, but my maybe favorite Cherry Poppin Daddies song, for sure my favorite on this album, and one of my very top ones in their whole catalog, is Mod Squadrophenia. 3 on a Match again. I don't know what that means. 3 on a Match. Thought I was wrong. It turned out I was wrong. I lost a friend. 3 on a Match again. Why do I keep singing? But that's I'm drinking hard because this ain't easy. I'm winding up with my best friend's girl. I'm totally embarrassing myself, but I don't care because I love Cherry Poppin Daddies, and I'm going to continue to talk about this album. I love every song. Cosa Nostra is another really, really good one. Lead pipe slammed in the storekeeper's head. Looks like spaghetti decomposing in bed. Please don't shoot, God, think of my kids. That's enough about that. Irish Whiskey. This one, that was something else that's really unique about Cherry Poppin Daddies. They re-record a lot of their songs. They record them in different styles on different albums. They go back to, well, and what I'm talking about here is Irish Whiskey. They ended up, when this came out, I had never heard it, as I mentioned. But later they put out another album, and they did a reworked version of Irish Whiskey. And the second version was the first one that I heard. I liked it much better than this one. This one has horns in it, which maybe if it had been the first version I've heard, I would have liked it. But to hear the horns as the second version, I didn't like this Kids on the Street version as much as Irish Whiskey, but it's a very punky song. Flower Fight with Morrissey. No, let's see what else. Say It to My Face. That's another one that's in the same vein as Sockable Face Club, the second track. Thrilla in Manila, Fraser and Ali, A Can of Olives, Bag of Chips, A Case of Genesee. It's very hard to say those lyrics. And he says them very fast. I don't know if this guy Steve Perry can sing them live or if they play the song live. We'll Always Have Paris is great. Trapped Inside the Planet of the Roller Skating Bees is one of the greatest song titles ever. And the song suits the song. The song title fits the song. It's a very unique song. What else? Mod Squadrophenia, yes, is one of my favorites. Silver Tongue Devil is good too. That's kind of a rockabilly. I don't really like this term, psychobilly, maybe something like that. Kind of a Americana type song. Is Silver Tongue Devil. It's a good one. Here Comes the Snake. Here comes the snake and he circles your leg. He comes to play and make your body parts shake, baby. That's a fantastic song, despite what I sound like. The Enemy Within, Luther Lane, Don Quixote. This is, now that I read the track list, I maybe don't like this quite as much as Rapid City Muscle Car, but still, this is a fantastic album, and still, I still haven't got yet to my favorite Cherry Poppin Daddies album, but they're getting better and better. So Kids on the Street, love it. Now I'm going to talk about my first Cherry Poppin Daddies album, and I guess maybe surprising, I don't have it with me. It was called Zoot Suit Riot, and if you've never heard of Cherry Poppin Daddies, or if you don't know anything about them, you know the song Zoot Suit Riot. that was where I got into them. I guess that was their hit at that point. And I don't know where I heard it. Because the radio stations that I was listening to at the time, they wouldn't be playing something like that. This was, for me, pre-internet. I was on the internet, but it wasn't an everyday thing for me. So I don't know how I heard the song Zoot Suit Riot, but I loved it. Zoot Suit Riot, Throw Back a Bottle of Beer. I thought it was a great song. Very swing song. And back then, this was in 1998, this album came out. I've mentioned this before in some of these other videos that I've done. Back then, talk about sounding like an old man. If you wanted to hear an album or, to know an album, you had to buy it. Now you can download it, you can play it on Spotify, you can make a playlist, whatever. So I heard Zoot Suit Riot, the song. I thought, well, I love it. I really, really like this song, so I'm going to buy it. So I bought that album. And something, I've talked about this before too, you remember things that are very stupid. You remember, little trivial things. And I remember that I bought Zoot Suit Riot and Anthrax, Volume 8, The Threat Is Real. I bought those two albums on the same day. That was in the summer of 1998. And another weird thing, if I remember correctly, I bought the WWF or WWE Warzone video game for the original PlayStation back then too. I think I bought all those on the same day. So very strange. I bought Anthrax and Zoot Suit Riot, Cherry Poppin Daddies on the same day, but I did. Now, Zoot Suit Riot, spoiler alert, is a compilation album, which I didn't know at the time, and I guess I didn't care, and it didn't make any difference to me. I think I didn't know until I got home and opened the CD and saw. I guess it was in the liner notes. So it was 2 or 3 or 4 songs from each of the first 3 albums that I talked about: Ferociously Stoned, Rapid City Muscle Car, and Kids on the Street. It was a compilation of all of their swing style songs from those albums. So it was from Ferociously Stoned, I think Dr. Bones and Shake Your Love Maker, I think Cherry Poppin Daddies Strut. Can't remember what else. From Rapid City Muscle Car, it was Come Back to Me, Mr. White Keys. He's Mr. White Keys. Life he loves the tenon booth. Forget it. What else? And then from Kids on the Street, it was what were the swing songs from Kids on the Street? Here Comes the Snake. Anything else? Anyway, I should have talked more about Mod Squadrofina. I love that song. So, and then there were also a couple of new songs. The title track, Zoot Suit Riot, was the name of the album. And another one of my favorites is No Mercy for Swine. That was a very, very swing song, which was why it was on Zoot Suit Riot. I love that song. That's again in my top. I don't want to say top 5 or top 10 because I'm gonna end up contradicting myself later at some point, because my top 5 is going to end up being 10 songs. But No Mercy for Swine, I'm swinging on a chandelier, drowning in 1,000 beers. I love that song. So that was my introduction to Cherry Poppin Daddies. God, the singing is atrocious. And again, I had no business. Why did I like a band with horns and trumpets and trombones and clarinets? When I bought Anthrax, Volume 8, the same day. That was Dimebag Darrell, and I'm a huge Pantera fan, and I don't know why I was listening to Cherry Poppin Daddies, but I'm very, I guess, thankful now that I got into it, because they've been for now 22 years now, one of my favorite bands. So that's what I can say about Zoot Suit Riot. Now, so from this point on, everything changed. I went back and I bought the ones that I mentioned: Kids on the Street, Rapid City Muscle Car, and Ferociously Stoned. I bought them from eBay. Something I meant to mention. About Rapid City Muscle Car. As I mentioned, this came out in '94, and when I was looking at this just before I was going to do this video, I noticed that this must have been the first band. They had an email address and a website. I don't know how close I have to put it to the camera to see. And I can't see the screen. But imagine that, 1994, they had a website. It was bytech.com/daddies, and their website was daddies@bytech.com. Amazing, 94. The Cherry Poppin Daddies had a website and an email address. Oh, this could have been reissued. I'm not sure, but anyway, so I'll say that. So I went back after because I really I loved Zoot Suit Ride. So I went back and I bought the first 3, and I downloaded. This was also in the era of Napster. They had a song called "Mom Was No Fat Broad," again with the good sense of humor of Steve Perry. And Cherry Poppin Daddies, I don't know if I should talk about this now or as I go on. I'll talk about this now. They also had some great kind of B-sides and songs that weren't on albums. Mom Was No Fat Broad was one. I think around in the early 2000s, they did a cover of Switchin' to Glide by the Kings. For me, you know, I'm Canadian. I grew up in Canada. And that song, Switchin' to Glide, was on the radio on the all the time. Everybody's got to know. I'm not going to sing that one, but Switchin' to Glide. Oh, what a great song! What a great choice for a cover that was. What else did they do? They did 229 and High and Low, which then they re-recorded later. Again, as I mentioned, they re-record a lot of songs in different styles. Jake's Frilly Panties, which they re-recorded also, and what else did they have? Butch the Gay Santa Claus. Butch the Gay Santa Claus, his beer tickles your ears. What else? Anyway, so I'll go back. So their next album that came out after, and sorry for being all over the place with these, but I get very excited. And so their next album was in 2000, and it was this one, and it was called Soul Caddy. So for me, this was my first new Cherry Poppin Daddies album, which I've mentioned this before. It's very different when you have. So this is the first album they put out that I had expectations for, and I didn't know what they were, but I loved Zoot Suit Ride so much that I pre-decided I was going to buy this. Which again, I've mentioned back then, I was very loyal to bands. If you put out one album that I liked, I would buy all of your albums for the next 20, 30 years, however long. So I was going to buy this no matter what. And so this came out in 2000, and it was highly anticipated for me. And was I disappointed or did I love it? Because sometimes, you know, it could go either way. I loved it. This, I'm going to tell you, is my favorite Cherry Poppin Daddies album. This is one of my, again, I don't like to paint myself into a corner and say it's this or it's this, but this is one of my maybe top 5 albums of the post 2000. This one and maybe Corrosion of Conformity, In the Arms of God, the Pearl Jam self-titled Avocado album, Testament, The Formation of Damnation. This one, Soul Caddy, is right up there with any of them. And this continued with kind of in the same vein as Kids on the Street and Rapid City Muscle Car. This had swing, it had punk, it had ska. I love this album. Man, oh man, I love it so much. Diamond Light Boogie. Every single song on this album is fantastic. Swinging with Tiger Woods was the one of 2 or 3 big swing songs. Do you want to keep them straight when you hit them, or put your big drive in the fairway? Knock them flat when you tip your hat to the chickies when they look blasé. An easy breezy motion, that's the way to make it all good. And you'll be a mighty swinger, just the same as Tiger Woods. I'm so sorry for that, but oh, I just love this album. God is a Spider was very punky, kind of a little bit of an aggressive. Cherry Poppin Daddies is not an aggressive band, but God is a Spider is a little bit on the aggressive side. Stay, don't just say. Stay, don't just stay. If you're going to stay, don't just stay. Is, again, in my top, very top Cherry Poppin Daddies song. This song kind of became a little bit later when I moved to Mexico. It kind of gave me a good sentimental feeling about how life was moving from Canada, when I totally changed my life and said goodbye to Canada and said, goodbye to family and friends and moved to Mexico. So Stay, Don't Just Stay kind of felt like it was written for me, even though this was 6 years before I moved to Mexico. 2000 this was. Grandma, that's another one that similar to Skyline Drive, that some of the best lyrics I've ever heard. Very big, beautiful song. Where am I going? It don't matter to me. Where am I going? Where am I going? Makes no difference to me. Where am I going? It don't matter to me. She takes Cindy Sherman pictures. I had to look up who Cindy Sherman was. She's a photographer. To know these lyrics, I would have to sing them. I'm going to try not to do that. She takes Cindy Sherman pictures and she cuts herself. She says, I hear banjos when you're naked, and she laughs like hell. I love those lyrics. I don't know what they mean, but I just love them. And what else? Like a circus ride, spinning around, I'm a careless boy. And when I feel alright. And like a constellation of moles that are spiraled on her back. Just beautiful, beautiful song and beautiful lyrics. Soul Cadillac is a very, that's kind of a ska song. I love Soul Cadillac, not to be confused with Soul Caddy, the name of the album title, but Soul Cadillac is the song. The Soul Cadillac is a driving up. The Soul Cadillac is in need. Should I apologize every time? Irish Whiskey, as I mentioned, I like this version much better than the version on Kids on the Street. This was they got rid of the horns, and which was on the Kids on the Street version. This was the version of Irish Whiskey on this one was much more straightforward. Great drums, excellent song, Irish Whiskey. So Long Toots, Bound for Chicago, great song. They mentioned Pakistan. How many songs are you going to hear that have the lyrics, that has Pakistan in the lyrics? The distance might as well be Morocco or Pakistan. My Mistake, She's My Mistake. End of the Night, another good one, kind of a ska song there. Bleeding Ceremony is a pretty much straight ahead rock song. Uncle Ray, kind of a kind of a swingy song. Saddest Thing I Know, it is a very sad kind of downbeat song. So there we go. That one I said I wasn't going to do it track by track, but I had to do Soul Caddy track by track just because I love it so much. I haven't listened to this full album in a long time, probably a year, maybe more. I listen to some songs from it occasionally, but now that I'm talking about it, I got to go listen to this. So Soul Caddy, imagine that, one of my favorite post-2000 albums. High praise indeed for Cherry Poppin Daddies. I like them so much that I made this. Parentheses, brackets from their official discography for a second. This was in the era of when CD burners were cool for about 5 minutes. And you could make, I used to love in the 80s and later making mixtapes, as a lot of people did. And you couldn't make mixed CDs until there were CD burners. So in I guess it was around 2000 or 2001, I made this. I got some artwork, and I made my own Cherry Poppin Daddies mix. This was before digital music, before you could put songs on your phone, your iPod, or before Spotify or YouTube. And so I made this to listen to it in the car. I put No Mercy for Swine. There was a live version of it. I bought, also from eBay, I bought a single. I bought the Zoot Suit Riot single, which I think had Zoot Suit Riot in Spanish and a live version of No Mercy for Swine. There'll be no mercy. So I put that in here. Skyline Drive Sound System. That's another one. That's an Operation Ivy song. And I like Operation Ivy too. So Sound System going to bring me back up. It's one thing that I can depend on. Sound System wants to bring me back up. Yeah, one thing that I can depend on. Try to describe it to the limit of my abilities. Wow, that's so bad. I love that song. Here Comes the Snake, Stay, Don't Just Stay, High and Low, Kids on the Street, Butch the Gay Santa Claus, His Beer Tickles Your Ear, Mr. White Keys, Irish Whiskey, The Search. I got somewhere an instrumental version of Diamond Light Boogie. I don't know if that was maybe on MySpace back then or something like that. 229, Mod Squadrophenia, Zoot Suit Riot, the Spanish version, Grand Mal, which I talked about a few minutes ago. Jump in the line! Shake, 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 Senora, another non-album track that was on the soundtrack, I think, of Basketball. The guys from South Park did that movie. Soul Cadillac, Jake's Frilly Panties. Jake's Frilly Panties, they make me scream. Oh God, Jake, you're a love machine. Whew. I gotta stop. When I Change Your Mind, Cosa Nostra, Swing with Tiger Woods, Come Back to Me, and End of the Night. So that was my my personal Cherry Poppin Daddies at that time, and I guess it hasn't changed much. My favorites, those are all still, as I'm talking about, my favorite Cherry Poppin Daddies songs. Now, I guess at this point, again, I was new to Cherry Poppin Daddies at that point, and apparently, I guess they broke up after Soul Caddy. I don't know if people didn't, maybe because Zoot Suit Riot was so big, people expected them to be a swing band, and I think a lot of them were. At that point, too, there was Big Bad Voodoo Daddy, and I can't remember who else. And I liked Big Bad Voodoo Daddy. They were okay. Not even a fraction of Cherry Poppin Daddies. But I think maybe people were disappointed that Soul Caddy wasn't really a swing album. It just had the two songs, Swing with Tiger Woods and So Long Toots, I guess. So I think that album was a big flop, which was disappointing for me because just when I got into them, they didn't die. I shouldn't do that. They I guess at that point called it quits. And I guess at some point over the years they put out these little, I think that was around then when they put out the cover of Switchin' to Glide, and maybe the soundtracks then, Jump in Line, Shake Shake Senora, and I don't know. But now they didn't do another album until, and this is where it starts to get a little bit hazy. I think it was this one, 2008, which was Susquehanna. For me, they picked up right where they left off. This was, I can't say it was as good as Soul Caddy, but it was in the same vein as Soul Caddy, and I liked it as much as Kids on the Street and Rapid City Muscle Car. This was and still is, all of those, aside from Soul Caddy, Susquehanna, Kids on the Street, and Rapid City Muscle Car, those are all as good as music gets. This album is great, starting with, again, a couple of different things they did here. The first song was Bust Out, and the last song was Arráncate, which was the same song, but Arráncate was in Spanish, so that was pretty cool. So they bookended the beginning and end of this album with this, and that was a cool song. That was kind of a little bit of a, not ska, not swing, kind of a little bit of a, not funk, I don't know, but those were good songs too, Bust Out and Arráncate. The Mongoose and the Snake, High and Low. I was glad to see this one, High and Low. I think up to this point I had a very poor version of High and Low. I think that I downloaded from Napster. That I think it was on, I think the original version was on a 7-inch split or a 12-inch split or something that they did with Real Big Fish in 2000 or 2001, something like that. And the version that I had, High and Low, it wasn't very good. It was, I think there was only sound in one ear. It was like somebody just recorded. You could hear the guy putting the needle on. So I was very happy to hear High and Low, which was and still is one of my favorite Cherry Poppin Daddies song. I've been high, but mostly low, which they also re-recorded on the next one, which I'll talk about. Blood Orange Sun, which is where the lyric Susquehanna comes from. What was that? Pomegranate Rain, something like that. White Trash Chulu. Julie Grave. She's the type I crave. She's not bikinis and toner and drugstore lemonade. That might have been my worst singing ever. That also is very top 5, top 3 songs. If you don't like that song, if you don't at least feel good when you hear the song Julie Grave, go see a doctor. If you're getting checked for coronavirus, get your head checked too if you don't like Julie Grave. Roseanne was a kind of a flamenco. What other song did I mention was something like that? Oh, maybe like Lovers Understand. Roseanne was excellent. Hammer Blow, Tom the Lion, Fortune Teller. Another, again, a very fun song, Tom the Lion and Julie Grave. Wingtips. Breathe is also in my very short list, top 3, top 5. Let's say top 5. Cherry Poppin Daddies song, The Good Things. The Good Things, I'll talk about that. That could possibly be my #1 Cherry Poppin Daddies song ever. Maybe that or Mod Squadra Fina, something like that. It has French horn in it. It reminded me of The Who, maybe because of the French horn. I think in what song was it? A song in The Who by Numbers that had French horn, and The Good Things always remind me of that. But again, going back to Skyline Drive, the lyrics, and talking about Steve Perry just painting the most beautiful picture. The Good Things. I watched her pack. I could feel my will go slack. I watched her pack. I could feel my will go slack. I laid my body down for the vultures on that spring. 1 year has gone. Your garden dirt's gotten soft and warm. My every shovel. I can't remember, but yeah, Good Things. Very, very, very short list of top Cherry Poppin Daddies song. So on this one alone, I've got High and Low, Julie Grave, Breathe. I didn't really talk about that. That's a beautiful, beautiful, just the most amazing acoustic guitar song you've ever heard. So yeah, I would say High and Low, Julie Grave, Tom the Lion, Fortune Teller, Wingtips. Wingtips is good too, but Breathe, the Good Things. This might be my second favorite after Soul Caddy, and this was 2008. This was like 8 years after Soul Caddy. So this was so great for me to hear. I was so happy to have Cherry Poppin Daddies back in my life, especially with such a good album. Susquehanna, I love it. Next one, You're Not Seeing Double. This is Starboy Jfk. I don't know why I have 2 of these. When I got them out for my collection here, I wondered why I had 2, and I can't quite remember. I think, if I remember, I got one of them. It was around this time. I'll put these down for a second. It was around this time. I kind of stopped buying CDs. I lived in Mexico then. I lived in Mexico. This came out in 2009, Starboy Jfk. I lived in Mexico for 3 years at that point, since 2006. And CDs were then, and I think even more now, like unbelievably expensive in Mexico, prohibitively expensive. For one, you're not going to go to a record store or any kind of music store in Mexico and find Cherry Poppin Daddies. You'll find Metallica and Iron Maiden and U2 and Madonna and the Rolling Stones. You're not going to find Cherry Poppin Daddies. So if you want to get music other than what is the biggest music, you have to order it from Amazon, or back then it was CD Universe, and what was the other one? I can't remember. And so it was expensive because of the dollar, the exchange rate between the dollar and the peso, and which is even much, much worse now. It's double what it was 10 years ago, which is bad for me. And plus you had to pay shipping, and just the cost of living. So, for somebody to pay $10 in the US for a CD is nothing. But for me to pay $10, or the equivalent of $10 US in Mexico, that's really, really expensive. So I think a friend of mine, a guy called Darren Parker, he knew I was a big Cherry Poppin Daddies fan. I think he sent me a copy of it, or I traded him. I think I traded snacks, to be honest. I think I sent him a bunch of snacks, some Mexican Doritos and Fritos and things like that, and chips. And I think that was where I got one of them. Now, I don't know why I have 2. I think the other one, I might have one. It was around the same time. I think I entered some kind of contest or something, and around the same time. So I got 2. Anyway, so I'll get back to the album, Starboy Jfk. This was a little bit of a follow-up to, this was 2009, but it was a little bit in the same, they had the same idea as Zoot Suit Riot. Zoot Suit Riot was a compilation of all their swing songs. This was a compilation of all their ska songs. The full title of this album is The Skankin' Hits of the Cherry Poppin Daddies. The Zoot Suit Riot was the swingin' hits of the Cherry Poppin Daddies. And they had just like Zoot Suit Riot had Zoot Suit Riot and No Mercy for Swine as new songs. This one had Starboy Jfk. The title track was a new song. Slapstick, Pool Shark. Those were, I think, the new songs. Now, they also re-recorded a few. High and Low was a very different, as I mentioned, I love that Cherry Poppin Daddies did this, that they recorded different versions of their songs for different albums to fit their different style. So the version of was it 229 for sure, and maybe High and Low, I can't remember. But 229 for sure was a very, the original version was kind of fast, a little, a little bit punky, but very up tempo. The version of 229, this one was kind of like a slow reggae ska. I loved it. That's another one of my favorites. I don't know if I mentioned that. Soul Cadillac was different. I think that might have been just a different vocal. I don't know. I can't remember if the music, I haven't listened to this whole thing for a long time. But Soul Cadillac was, and I think End of the Night were different. Maybe it had something to do with copyright issues, because Soul Cadillac and End of the Night were on Soul Caddy, which was on Mojo Records, which is kind of a big label. So I don't know if they were allowed to put the original versions on here. So they re-record them. Cosa Nostra, Don Quixote, Hammer Blow, and Say It to My Face. So good compilation here. I never listened to this that much, just the new songs and the re-recorded ones, but pretty good. And I have two of them. So there you go. So Starboy Jfk, a compilation, and I don't have anything else to say about Starboy Jfk. This is where I get a little bit confused. This is where, as I said, I had kind of stopped buying. That was the last Cherry Poppin Daddies physical CD that I got. So I'm not going to show you these plastic CDs anymore. Everything after that I just downloaded. And I don't say this as a, like, look at me, I'm too cool for this. I don't listen to Spotify ever. I haven't listened to Spotify for probably 2 years, maybe more. Even when it was kind of first coming out, I listened to a little bit. It was kind of cool, you know, when it was new. But yeah, so at this point, I was over buying CDs. I was downloading music and listening to it from my phone with headphones, or I have a speaker, stereo over here. So Starboy Jfk was the last one. Now which means I have to go back to the notes here after Starboy Jfk, and this is gets a little bit confusing. If I remember correctly, the next one was Please Return the Evening, and I just want to make sure I get the timing right. Was it Please Return the Evening? Yeah, Please Return the Evening came out in 2014. Was it 5 years? No, sorry, I'm going to go back. White Teeth, Black Thoughts, of course. How could I forget that? White Teeth, Black Thoughts. That was a interesting album, and very good and very cool too, very unique. Something that Cherry Poppin Daddies did with that album was it was a double album, and well, they released two versions of it. They released the standalone single disc, and then there was I guess a deluxe version that was a double CD. The first disc was all new, brand new Cherry Poppin Daddies songs, but they were all kind of like swing, in the vein of their Cherry Poppin Daddies swing songs. And that one, now just a second, I have to find the track listing for this. I find that I don't have as much of a connection to music when I didn't buy this CD. So let me I should be more prepared. Sorry for this, and I'm not going to cut. White Teeth, Black Thoughts. Yeah, I'm going to have to cut this one. It's taking too long. All right, that was taking too long to find the track listing. So I'm back now with White Teeth, Black Thoughts, which came out in 2013. I didn't buy this. It was just too expensive. It would be, I can't even, I'm not going to get into how much it would cost for a guy living in Mexico plus the shipping. And I remember I looked for it a year or two ago. Like I said, I feel like I have more of a connection when I buy the physical CD, and that goes the same with all of them. But maybe someday I'll come across them for a decent price. So White Teeth, Black Thoughts came out in 2013. So as I mentioned, the first album was all swing. They didn't have any of the rock or the punk or ska and anything like that. It was all swing. Now this one, I never fully got into this one. Maybe again because I mentioned I didn't have the connection to it. But there were some really good songs on this. Going through the track listing here, I Love American Music, that's a good one. Whiskey Jack, it was Whiskey Jack and Vodka Jill was a good song. Jake's Frilly Panties, now they, as I mentioned, they have many songs that they have two different versions of, or in this case it's the same song, just on different, Jake's Frilly Panties was I think an internet only release, something like that, 10 years earlier. And on this one it was kind of disappointing because the original version that I had of Jake's Frilly Panties didn't sound very good. I think it was similar to High and Low, and it just didn't sound good. And what they did here was they just added like a static, sounded to make it sound like an old record, so not the best. But yeah, Jake's Frilly Panties, I love that song. Maybe my favorite one, at least on the Swing album, was I Want a Bow-Legged Woman, which is not even a Cherry Poppin Daddies song. It's a cover of I can't remember the guy who did it originally. To be honest, I'd never heard of it before. I went back and checked it out after I really loved the Cherry Poppin Daddies version. It's a guy from the 30s or 40s or something. It's she's gotta be built like an old bass fiddle, big fat legs with plenty of room in the middle. Gotta be on my way to find a bow-legged woman today. I love that song, I Want a Bow-Legged Woman. So, yeah, this was it was a pretty good album, but I feel like I need to go back and revisit this one again. I remember Brown Flight Jacket I like that one too. Now the second album, in the deluxe version, I mean I downloaded it, so to me it was all the same. The deluxe version, the second album of the deluxe version was I can't remember if there was anything swing on it. It was much more like that, the psychobilly, rockabilly, Americana, which I don't really like that word. I don't like psychobilly for that matter either. But it was more in that style. And I loved You Wiped Your Ass With My Heart. You wiped your ass with my heart. What is the lyrics? I drew a 666. I ripped up your picture and I threw it against the floor. I drew a 666 on your forehead. Take that, you dirty whore. Again, as I mentioned, Steve Perry with the good sense of humor. Ragged Old Flag was a good one. That was Ragged Old Flag. Ragged Old Flag had banjo in it. Great band. I guess it's great banjo playing. I don't really listen to banjo music, so I can't really say too much. But I did really like Ragged Old Flag. That was a very fun up-tempo song. It was Ragged Old Flag, Ragged Old Flag. Why should I wrap myself up in this ragged old flag? Good song. And let me go back to the track listening again. This one I'm not sure how to say, nuages or nuages. It sounds like a French word. Was very quiet. It reminded me of The Saddest Thing I Know from Soul Caddy. And they also had, also similar with Susquehanna, where they had Bust Out to open the album. And then the same song, but a different in Spanish, Arráncate, at the end. They did the same thing here. The first song on the first album, the first disc, was called The Babooch. And then the last song on the second disc was also The Babooch, but it was a little bit of a more adult lyrics. So yeah, White Teeth, Black Thoughts was a good album. I didn't quite get into it as much as their other ones. I think, you know, things happen in your life, and you don't always, as you get older, or as time progresses, you don't have as much time in your life, and maybe other things are happening. So I think when White Teeth, Black Thoughts came out, and when I talk about getting into an album, I mean, I love lyrics. I love really sitting down and reading the book and listening to it a lot and learning the lyrics, and then singing poorly along with it. And I never really learned, I know the songs, I know the titles, I'm familiar with the music, but I never really got the lyrics for White Teeth, Black Thoughts. But I'll still get it. There's still, I still have time. Next one after that was, now they did two albums. The next two albums were kind of concept albums in the sense that the first one was 2014. It was Please Return the Evening. It was their tribute to the Rat Pack. I guess it was all like Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, I was going to say Sammy Hagar, Sammy Davis Jr. songs. Not really. I mean, it's cool that they did it, but that's not something I had too much interest in but I did like it. It was all, now these were songs from, I guess, was Rat Pack 50s, I guess. I never get into this too much. A lot of songs that, you know, everybody is very, very familiar with, but you don't, for me, speaking for myself, I don't really know them. I guess the notable ones are Come Fly With Me, The Lady Is a Tramp, Ain't That a Kick in the Head, Fly Me to the Moon, what's a good one? Luck Be a Lady, I've Got You Under My Skin, The Way You Look Tonight. I remember that from Friends when, what's her name, Janice made a song with for Chandler, a mixtape with The Way You Look Tonight. A lot of these songs I don't know, to be honest. The Boys Night Out, just one of those things. Mr. Success, I'd never heard any of these songs. But I did know some of these classics. Now they did also Come Back to Me on this one. Again, going back, as I've mentioned quite a few times, how they have different versions of the same songs. They re-recorded Come Back to Me, which was on, was it on Rapid City Muscle? No, it was on Rapid City Muscle Car. So they did a new version of Come Back to Me, which was a cover anyway. So anyway, yeah, so this one, now this is a whole album of kind of jazz, big bands type songs, which, I mean, I liked it. I liked that they made an effort to specifically, and also a really cool thing about Cherry Poppin Daddies, I don't know if there's another band that I like where they kind of make an effort to say, we're doing this album. And then the next one I say, now we're going to do this. So this one was, you know, Rat Pack tribute. The next one, which I'm going to talk about in a second, was all like 20s and 30s cover songs. And then they said, the next one we're going to go back to the you know, the first couple of albums. And then we're going to do a compilation album. So that's pretty cool. So the next one they did was called The Boopadoo, which went back even further for all the cover songs. I think most, let me check the track listing again. I think I'd only heard one or two of these songs before. These were all, again, classic songs, but really, really old. That Lindy Hop, I think I knew that song, but I wasn't really familiar with it. Maybe The Joint Is Jumpin'. Putting on the Ritz, I did know that. I think everybody knows that song. We're in the Money, Cherry Poppin Daddies does that one here. Other than that, I really don't know too much. The songs are Night and Day, Top Hat, White Tie and Tails, Trickeration, Lullaby of Broadway, Steppin' Out With My Baby. These are, I guess, kind of like show tunes. And again, cool that they did it, but it wasn't really for me. But again, if I had bought the CDs, I think I would have got into them more. So I can't really say too much about this one, The Boobadoo. It was 2016, I think it was. And I think they're doing a third album. They're going to do a third album. I think originally their plan was to do three of these cover albums where they were doing these kinds of songs. I don't know if that's still the plan, but that was, I remember from some years ago, that was the plan. So after the Boopadoo came Bigger Life. Bigger Life is excellent. I love the Bigger Life. This came out, I guess it was around this time last year. It came out in the summer last year. And it was a return to the early, I guess, Ferociously Stoned, Rapid City Muscle Car, Kids on the Street, Soul Caddy, Susquehanna. It was back to, I think there was a little bit of swing on this one, not too much, but it was basically like a mix. It had a little bit of you know, it had ska for sure. It had some kind of maybe a little bit of punk. But I like this album a lot. It's another one I didn't fully get into. I've listened to it I've given it quite a few listens. I think they released a single. Diesel Punks was first, or Gym Rat, and Yankee Pride. Yankee Pride was another one that they had re-recorded from White Teeth Black Thoughts. So there was a song called Throwback Man on White Teeth Black Thoughts that they re-recorded as Yankee Pride for Bigger Life. So that was another one, but still a very good album. One I feel that I probably would have gotten into more if I had if I'd had the physical CD. Maybe I'm old like that. So yeah, Bigger Life. There were, I guess, a couple of swing songs. The title track for sure, Bigger Life, and The Fixer were kind of in that swing vein. Let me see the track listing. White Man. That was a very, very ska song. You can't trust me because I'm a white man. I take more than I need because I'm a white man. That was a good song. I guess kind of a Steve Perry's take on maybe like white privilege, something like that. Schizo, that's a great song. Let me get my, I can't sing it as high. Let me get my schizo on. That guy sings it, and he has a pretty, I don't know if he's a baritone, but he's got a pretty, he can sing very low, but he sings, let me get my schizo on, and he sings it amazing. I don't know how he can do it. That's a great song. That song may as well be a Prince song. Very, very funky. Could be maybe a little bit reminiscent of something on Ferociously Stoned, or something from Prince, like from 1999. Not the year 1999, but the album 1999, or something like that. But very, very, very good song. Schizo. Big Mouth Royalty was another one. Big Mouth Royalty, East Coast Loyalty. That one reminds me really of Mighty Mighty Boss Tones. I think not just because, and I haven't mentioned this, but quite a few Cherry Poppin Daddies songs remind me of Mighty Mighty Boss Tones. Not any Mighty Mighty Boss Tones specific song, but just the same vibe. Not just because they're a ska band, because they have lots of songs, but a few of them do. I think, wow, this, and I like Mighty Mighty Boss Tones. They talk about the city, New York, DC, Detroit, Chicago. It has a great a cappella section in the middle of Big Mouth Royalty. Excellent song. That might be my favorite, Big Mouth Royalty. Cold Hard Cash, I remember that one because it had a wailing guitar solo in it. Cherry Poppin Daddies is not really a band that features guitar solos, but the guitar solo on Cold Hard Cash is excellent. So Bigger Life is an excellent album. One, I guess, that I need to go back and listen to more to really get my arms around the lyrics. And yeah, I like it. I like that style of Cherry Poppin Daddies. I don't necessarily need all swing, although some of my favorites are swing. As I said, Come Back to Me, Mr. White Keys. He's Mr. White Keys! What else? Swing songs, Dr. Bones. But yeah, I like Cherry Poppin Daddies' original swing songs. The covers, I understand Steve Perry's a big, big fan of this, so good for him that he's doing that. And I will continue to always listen to Cherry Poppin Daddies, no matter what they do. But, and something interesting, I just saw the other day, I follow them on Instagram and Facebook and everything, and he posted something. He posted a picture of something, and somebody just asked something like, "Hey, so what's happening?" And he gave like a really long reply saying that I think he said he had like 3 albums worth of material. This guy seems to work a lot, Steve Perry. Seems like a very hard-working guy, very prolific, proficient, prolific. I think prolific. So yeah, apparently, I think he said he's got 3 albums worth of songs ready, something like that. So I don't know if the next album is going to be the 3rd album in that, what was a planned trilogy of the Please Return the Evening and the Boopadoo. If it's going to be the next one after that. Or if it's going to be a completely like what would be the real follow-up to Bigger Life. I don't know, but I'm very excited to hear any new Cherry Poppin Daddies songs or album at any time. That's it. I finished Cherry Poppin Daddies. One last thing, I just thought of this about Instagram. I'll say just a quick hello, if she sees this, to Yvette Cherry Perry. This is Steve Perry's wife. I follow her on Instagram. She's been having a tough time lately. She has some problems. So I read all her. She writes great posts on Instagram, not just a picture, but she always gives good details and very interesting to read. So I am sure she would never see this, but I would say hello to Yvette Cherry Perry, and I hope everything is going well in your life, and I hope you're doing good. Other than that, that's it for Cherry Poppin Daddies. Very surprising, huh? What do you think of that? Motorhead, Slayer, Anthrax, Faith No More, Metallica, Iron Maiden, and Cherry Poppin Daddies. I've got a few more of these I'm going to do. I keep thinking of bands that I can do. I think I've got at least 4 more planned that I can do. And so that's it. Thanks again for watching or for scrolling through, whatever you do. And that's all for me and Steve Perry, Cherry Poppin Daddies, whatever you want to call them. See ya.